with people, organizations, and events that create community in and around Richmond Hill. A very culturally diverse community with lots of trees and streams and interesting people. On this podcast, I have asked Laurel Douglas Shugarman from the Artist Co-op here in Richmond Hill to be a podcast guest again and tell us how things have been going up at the Boynton House. You are a very busy person up at the Boynton House. How are things going? Like, are you exhausted, invigorated, or somewhere in between?
Well, I just want to say at the outset how much we appreciate you and your tireless support for the arts in Richmond Hill. It's just, you're amazing.
Welcome.
And it's deeply appreciated. Yeah, it's a busy time. Being in the co-op and dealing with the public and dealing with the other artists is also really invigorating. So it's a nice kind of fatigue. We work the whole year for this. This is our one commercial endeavor. And I think one of the reasons we all love the co-op is that we fire each other up. We really enjoy the community. Making art is very solitary. And so being able to not only meet with the public, but be in community with each other we really all enjoy that. Yeah.
Nicely said. So let's start with a recap of what the Artist Co-op Richmond Hill is for someone who hasn't ventured up there yet.
Yep. Okay. Well, so we're a collective of 17 artists. Not everybody this year is participating to an equal extent because we're all in sort of different spaces, but there's work of 17 artists there. This is our fourth operating year. We all found ourselves in a situation of not having adequate places in Richmond Hill to show, sell, teach, learn, cooperate with other artists, exhibit. So the co-op began in 2022, 4 years ago. And so I was really involved in the birthing of this from the beginning because I really felt deeply the fact that we just didn't have a place where artisans could show three-dimensional work. So there is the Mill Pond Gallery. There are places in Richmond Hill where you can see wall art. The Center for the Performing Arts does have a rotating, revolving gallery. And I know there is some display going on with the library as well. However, three-dimensional artists, so people who turn wood, sculpt metal, make glass, make jewelry, had nowhere where their work was, where they could show their work. And I love the idea of cooperatives. I don't want to minimize the importance of galleries, but if an artist puts their art in a gallery, a commercial gallery, they're going to lose 50% of the selling price. So from an idea of supporting artists, from helping them to keep the majority of the selling price, to share their art with the public, to share it with each other, to have an opportunity to teach, all of that made a co-op a great idea. And then the issue was space. And so we discovered Boynton House, and we began as a small group of women. I mean, there were 3 or 4 of us, and we just put our heads and hearts together, and we came up with the idea of a 3-month pop-up at Boynton. And we were able to do it because the rent in art exhibition space from Richmond Hill is reasonable. And so it was affordable. And we figured out what the critical mass would be for us to be able to afford it. And this year we've got work in glass, ceramics, metal sculpture, polymer clay, fabric, basketry, multiple metal materials, jewelry, as well as drawing and painting. So it's a wonderful panoply of art and artisanal work, all locally made and all original and high quality.
Yes, I can testify to all of that.
Yeah.
The only I want to sort of say, not to confuse people, is the organizers were 4 women, but some of the artists are male. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Some of the artists are male.
Yeah.
We have the men have been in the minority.
Yep.
We've had this year there are 2 men.
Yep.
In our group of Victor Molev and Roger Potts, who are both invited artists for this year. We've had Cade Bolger, who's a wood turner, although he's not participating currently. So the men are the minority, but their work all of them, their work is fabulous. So
Yes, I will
yeah,
agree with
no,
that.
it's not. It's
Okay.
we're not just for women
You're
artists.
not exclusionary. Okay. So other years, it has been 3 months. This year,
Yes,
it's only the 6
6.
weeks. So it's really difficult to compare, like, how have things been in terms of the number of visitors, your sales? Do you have some way to compare?
We do. We actually keep moderate statistics, and our first week this year was eye-watering. It was great. It was amazing. We had the best week we've ever had in our opening week. It's slowing down a wee bit. Sometimes it's really hard to figure out. And an example is Merry Market last Saturday. We had 450 people come through the door. I know. I mean,
Wow.
it was wild. The sales don't necessarily reflect the number of people. And I've been thinking a lot about this. And I think that when you buy a piece of art or an artisanal item, you need quiet contemplation. It's something you're going to live with. It's not a consumable. It's not like you're buying groceries. And I think our sales are actually better when it's relatively quieter, when people
Hmm.
feel that they can walk through the gallery, take their time, chat with the people they're with, think about living with some of these items because they're all items you're going to live with one way or the other, or a gift. So people make a choice based on resonance. I'm going to have to look at this or wear it or use it in my, how do I feel with it? And that's not something you just run through. I mean, sometimes people do a snap sort of
Yeah.
purchase, but I find, and our sales actually, we had a day where we probably had our highest selling day ever, and there were only 25 people came in that day. So how much people spend and who buys doesn't necessarily, and with the 450 people, we had half those sales. So,
Mhm.
it's great because we always tell ourselves, well, the people who come through in the crowd maybe remember us and come back at another time. But it's hard to know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're artists, we're not marketing
Yeah.
experts. So,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Well, that was your analysis is very interesting, and yeah, I'm not certain what to conclude, but it sounds
I
like
don't.
things are relatively good, and I
They're
have
relatively good. I think my projection, my guess, is that we will, in the 6 weeks, meet what we did in 3 months,
okay,
that we will do equivalent to what we did in 3 months, which was the goal,
okay,
which was the goal. Between year 1 and year 2, things improved. Between year 2 and year 3, they declined, and I think that may have been because of there was a strike in the park, there were lots of intervening variables, and so we don't really know. But also this year, we've made a concerted effort to up the game in terms of our marketing
yeah,
and our
yeah,
social media.
yeah. You have definitely done that. Now, it is the case that the shelves are not bare. Like, have artists had to go back to their studios and create more pieces?
I think the story is different for each artist. There are some artists who at this time of year are involved in multiple shows. We have people who are involved in one of a kind, which is hugely demanding. We have people who are involved in many of the surrounding community art festivals like King, like Uxbridge, like Stouffville, Newmarket. They all have art festivals which are 1 or 2 or 3 days. And so the Heinzman House show. So people can go in there and suddenly find themselves with limited product. A couple of our artists really had to scramble. And then there are other people who have tons of product and they try to rotate. I certainly don't put all my stuff out, but I try to keep it fresh and rotate stuff so that it's not always the same. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's one answer. I think Victor Molev, who's a wonderful painter, I think he's prolific and I think he has a huge amount of work and he just, he changes it up and he creates new pieces. I think it's a different story for each artist, but
Okay.
no, we don't leave empty spaces.
Okay, so your shelves are not bare. Lots to see, lots to purchase there.
Absolutely.
Excellent. I love to hear that. Now, have people been purchasing differently than, say, other years? Any surprises?
Yeah, I think so. I think that people are readier to buy. Um, I, you know, last year in particular, we really found people came in and looked, but were reluctant to spend. I mean, again, we're not selling essentials, and we saw that what sold was more the utilitarian, the pottery, the stuff that you can use. The wall art did not sell particularly well last year. It's doing better this year. So, and it's hard to know, but I think I certainly, speaking to other artists friends, I would say that in general, last year was not a good year for art sales in general, or artisanal sales in general. I think this year people, and I don't know why particularly, because life is not cheaper by any means, but I'm hoping part of it is there's an increased sense and sensibility about buying local, buying Canadian,
Yeah.
buying handmade, supporting local artists. So I would say the people are, so we can have 6 people in a day and everybody buys something. So it turns out to be not a bad day. So I would say, yes, I think that buying is, that there are more people who are actually reaching into their pocket and spending money. I would say that the lower priced items are selling better. Um, but we still sell fairly big ticket items in the hundreds of dollars.
Mhm.
So it's a mix, but
Okay.
I would say for me personally, I sell jewelry, and a lot of my pieces are, especially given that the cost of silver and gold has gone up so much. So a lot of my pieces are over 100 or over 200 or over $300. I'm selling more lower priced items currently, but steady. Wendy, who sells glass, who makes gorgeous fused glass, she's on fire. Her work is selling amazingly well. And she filled 3 workshops. So like her work is really selling well.
Yeah. Yeah. She had that butterfly, monarch butterfly vase,
Gorgeous.
which
Just gorgeous.
does she have any left?
Yeah, there's
Mm,
one red one and one blue one. They're
okay.
absolutely stunning, and
Yeah.
they've made, Karen, who does a lot of our graphic stuff, has used it in
Yes.
some of our webs. It's absolutely beautiful. She has quite a lot of new stuff. A lot of the artists have new pieces. So Wendy's done, she's got these really cute little tic-tac-toe
Yep.
glass tic-tac-toe sets, which are adorable.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of new stuff. I started doing some gold, 24 karat gold plating. Well, we keep trying to change it up.
Okay. So the one question I was going to ask, sort of to justify my own desire to buy something for myself, but
Yeah.
do you think there's people are buying for themselves, or is it
Oh,
mostly
yeah.
gifts?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna say it's about 75, 25%. 75% people buy for themselves and 25 is for gifts. I find for me, and I'm selling jewelry, which is such a personal thing,
Mhm.
that people tend to gift it for somebody who's with them. Occasionally, they'll buy something for a family member, and that does happen for sure. But people would, like, there might be a parent and a child, or a couple, and one will buy something for the other, checking
Yeah.
it out to see
Yeah.
how they like it. But that's for me, about a quarter of my sales. Things like wall art, major wall art, people tend to buy it as a family or a couple. They'll come in and they're making a decision about something major in the space that they're living in together.
Yeah.
So and people are hesitant to gift a
Yes.
major piece of art,
Mm.
because what if the other person doesn't like it?
Exactly.
It's a tougher gift. Smaller pieces of art, maybe if they know, oh, that person is really into something, but yeah.
Okay, so go with the intention of buying something for yourself, which I
Yes.
think people
Yes.
should do. So, yes. Okay, now, have you been asking, like, do you have a tally sheet? Like, how are people hearing about the artist co-op? What's getting
Well,
people to come up
well,
and see you?
you caught me. I'm feeling guilty. We're supposed to.
Okay,
We're supposed to have a tally sheet, and I don't know that this year we've done that as well, but we do ask,
yeah.
and sometimes, quite often, I would say 50% of the time, people come in and they say, "I went for a walk in the park," and
Mhm.
happened in. But our rack cards do work. We have these long rack cards. I
Yep.
brought some to the library when I chatted with your group, and people come in with them in their hand. Um, I, I gave out a ton of them at a Probus meeting, and people came in and said, "Oh, you put one in my hand, so I thought I should come in." And then they were glad they did.
Yes.
So that works. Some people see posters in the community centers. We have posters in the community centers and in the library. Um, some people see our social media. Yay,
Yep.
yay.
Yes.
Um, our first month, we had something like 5,000 views on Instagram, which, was sort of jaw dropping, given how little most of us don't know that much about social media, but we're sure you're learning.
Hmm.
So it's a mix. We have tried in the past radio when we had the region. We had a bit of purchase, but I didn't see it translate into a lot of sales. We tried the Liberal. The Liberal did articles on us. People had seen that. We have boosted ads on the digital form of what the Liberal has become, but I think we probably get as much publicity also from you. I mean,
Hmm.
from you listing it. So we're certainly trying. It's not easy to
No.
publicize items in Richmond Hill because
No.
we've lost our main print vehicle. So it's catch as catch can. And I will say, um, a shout out to Richmond Hill because they have published. They've actually made signs for us specifically during the Merry Market, and that drives a lot of people through the door. Although, again, whether that actually is great for sales, I'm unsure. It
Yep.
certainly gets a lot of people to know about us, but people come in to warm up, use the bathroom, and um, have a look. But it's pretty hard when you're moving through with a big crowd of people to actually stop and contemplate and
Yeah.
purchase.
And very often you have little ones with you, and they're not.
Exactly,
It's
exactly. And the
definitely.
balloons explode because they get warm and air starts to expand and they start to explode. I should say, and there's one Merry Market left
Yes.
that we have demos during the Merry Market. So we always have an artist, because I did it last Saturday. We always have one of our artists showing a technique, showing
Hmm.
something from 5 to 7 for 2 hours in the evening. And these are free, and you can come in and see what what the material is, what the work is. I was showing precious metal clay, which lots of people had never heard of. Wendy has done a glass demo. Michelle has done a basketry demo. So, we do, and Victor sits and draws, his fascinating. So we have demos during the Merry Market, and that, all of this adds to
Yeah.
people finding out about us.
Yeah. So there's not one thing. It takes a lot of work, a lot of different
Oh,
approaches doing it. And
absolutely.
I give you credit. And I think you deserve most of it. But I think the other artists also contribute to promotion as well. So it really is a group effort that way. Now, this year, though, I think you've been fortunate with the weather, except for today,
Yeah.
and that's just a workshop. We haven't had really bad weather, have we?
No, it's been great. Well, it was a very mild autumn,
Yep.
and although we opened later than we usually do, we had some really lovely days. It's only the last couple of weekends that there was ice on the walkways, and the guy who works on the weekend for the facilities is terrific, and he gets up there and he cleans the ice off the walk and gets the steps salted. And I would mention, for people with accessibility issues, just come to the back door and knock, because the back door is accessible, but we keep it locked.
Okay.
Because of the layout of the house, it's very difficult for the staff to keep an eye on two doors. But we will open the back door for anybody with accessibility issues so you don't have to go up on the porch. Then there's only one step to have to get into the back door. So do let us know, go to the back door, knock, and we will let you in. We want to be, and once you're inside, there's no accessibility issue. It's all on one level.
Okay. That is good to know, and I feel bad I forgot about that issue. So you're open this week and next week, the Thursday to Sunday, 11 to 6 and 8 p.m. for this Saturday only for the Merry
Right,
Marketplace.
because it's the last Merry Market.
Mm-hmm. And then you're open 11 to 3 on the 23rd and 24th.
Right. For last
And
minute shoppers.
yes, and if someone was given money for Christmas, you could go on the 26th, 27th, and 28th?
Yes. Last year we found, interestingly, that our numbers were low after Christmas, but the purchases were high. The individuals who came in to buy, and we were surprised by that. But so we really, it was intentional to stay open after Christmas. I don't think it's people looking for bargains. I think they just, they were over the Christmas exhaustion and they came in to sort of quietly look through the gallery and get themselves a present. And they did. And so those are good days for us
Okay.
in terms of sales. I will be there on the 24th. So, yeah, it's we close early, but it's yeah, we're there for last minute items.
That's
And we
very
have some really wonderful things literally that start at $5. So there are handmade ornaments, fabric ornaments for the tree. There are that go we have I have bronze charms for $15. There are lots of things honestly from $5 to $2,500. We've got something to fit every budget. I mean, if you come in with a big budget, we'll help you.
If
It's
you came shopping with your child to buy a gift for grandma, there would be something that was there, and that
absolutely.
I like that, very much.
Kathleen Rogers, who's one of our invited artists this year, has some lovely fabric items, which are very reasonably priced. She has these little eyeglass cases, that
Mhm.
fit a cell phone that are all handmade that are $10.
Yep.
Um,
They're beautiful.
saying, Kathleen, you got to charge more. She's no,
Oh,
but and notebook covers, like they're very reasonable and they're beautiful and they're beautifully made.
yeah.
So yeah,
Why not? Yes.
yeah.
So, do you have gift certificates?
So thanks for mentioning that because we run a weekly draw. Anybody who comes in, so up till now, you get a raffle ticket every time you make a purchase, or if you sign up for our newsletter. Also added, since we've become more conscious about food insecurity in Richmond Hill, that if you bring in a non-perishable food item, you also get a raffle ticket. So once a week, so we've already had 4 winners. So once a week, we draw from people from that week for a $25 shopping certificate within the gallery. And all of those ballots will then go back for a final draw of a gift basket of work from the other artists. Until you mentioned it, I hadn't thought about us selling gift certificates, but absolutely somebody could buy a gift certificate. And we have beautiful certificates all made up because they're our draw prizes,
Mm,
except that people would have to get in to use them by the 28th because the 28th is our last day for this year. But absolutely, that can be that. And thanks for the suggestion.
yeah, no, I think it's a good suggestion.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, for sure. It really hadn't come up, and it's I mean, we have them. We have
Yeah.
them because we're drawing for them, and we just didn't really think about selling them, but why not? Yeah,
Yeah, why not?
absolutely.
Now, do you think a lot of people come back more than once? Like both
Oh, yes.
they were. Okay, so people
Absolutely.
liked
We
your
have
yeah.
So my first question when anybody walks in the door is, have you been hi? Have you been here before? Because if they haven't, there's a whole spiel about who we are and what we are. And if they have, I say, oh, well, you know about us. And lots of people say, I come here every year. I love coming back. Or I was here a week ago, or and now I want to come back and spend more time. So yes, we have a lot of people who return. A lot. I mean, can't tell you numbers. I would say 15-20% maybe of people return. And so absolutely. Or they come in during Merry Market and they come back.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay. Anything else that you wanted to add?
I'm happy to talk a little bit if you think your listeners would be interested in the material that I use because a lot of people don't know what it is. So I work in a material called precious metal clay, which is a really serious misnomer because there's no clay in it. And it was developed about 40 years ago by Mitsubishi in Japan. And they took reclaimed silver, recycled silver, and cellulose or an organic binder and water and made a malleable material, which can be molded. It can be, once it's dried, it can be carved. And ultimately, it's fired. So, through those processes of finishing it, all of the water and all of the cellulose is removed. The cellulose ultimately by the firing. So, the final product is pure metal, whatever the metal in the initial mix was. So, if it's silver, it's pure silver, not sterling. Sterling is 7.5% copper, 92.5% silver. So, that's why it turns black. It's the copper in the silver that turns black. Or it's pure bronze. So the workshop we're going to be doing is with bronze clay, which is a lot less expensive. But it comes in all sorts of there are steel alloys, there are copper alloys. So there are many different forms of this material. I work almost exclusively now in silver and bronze because I like them the best. So that most of the silver items, probably 3/4 of the silver items I sell are pure silver. The good news is they don't turn black. The bad news is they're expensive. They're more
More
expensive than
expensive.
sterling.
Okay. I am so glad that you did say that because I find that absolutely fascinating. And, I've heard that before, but I think for people who haven't, they really need to just come up and really
Yeah.
look at what you're making and think about what really goes into this. You've also mentioned you have a workshop, and I forgot to talk about the workshops because you're not the only one. And I
Right.
just think in this lead up to Christmas to just take a couple of hours and have some fun
Right.
is a really good thing to do. So can you mention the other workshops that are still available?
Right. So the ones that are still available are Elena Molev is doing a needle felting workshop. I think her last one will be tomorrow, so it may be over by the time this is aired. But so little wool bear.
She's got one on the 17th with little
She
Canada
has one
Goose.
for a little goose. So far, she doesn't have enough registrants for that one to go forward. If it does, if people sign up, then it will
Okay.
happen. But at the moment,
Okay.
I'm not sure that one will
Yes.
happen. On the 16th, we do have also a basketry workshop with Michelle Zikovitz. They're going to be making a reindeer. I'm just looking at
Yes, it's
um
a reindeer. I've made them. I've bought them. I love them. So
yes, and stars, little star ornaments.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
Amazing.
I have one on the 14th, but it's full at this point. Whether we add any more, at the moment, there aren't any plans because it's getting kind of late in the
Yes,
day.
definitely.
I think one of the things we've learned, because Wendy did add a third workshop in the glass because hers were at such high demand, but it was because the people knew some of us and but we really didn't create a wait list or a way for people to let us know that they tried and couldn't get in. And I think we need to think that one through a little bit better for next year because we have the capacity to add more, particularly since our Wednesday workshops, the gallery is closed. So we could have two or three
Yeah.
happening at the same time.
Yeah.
There's lots of space. The Sunday ones, there's only one at a time
Yeah.
because it's only in our little salon room.
Okay. So I encourage everyone to go and look on your website, the link, and it's something really nice to do.
I really want to stress that in Richmond Hill, this particular show and group is absolutely unique. There is no other artists cooperative. Nobody's making a profit on this. These are individual artists selling directly to the public and cooperating with each other. There is no other venue where you're going to see high quality professional and multi different skill sets and crafts, and it's a really unique and special. It's like our one of a kind show, but it's highly curated. It's good quality, except that one of a kind, the people putting it on are making a big profit.
A
And they're
big pro.
charging you entrance and they're charging you parking. And we don't charge any entrance and parking is free. And you're seeing really high quality work that's
Very.
locally produced.
Just,
So it really is a one of a kind.
yes, Richmond Hill's one of a kind, and I think we
Absolutely.
should take pride in that and say it. So thank you for saying that. Now, I always end my podcast with a question, and it's always been till just this week, the same question. I've switched it up. So the question I'm going to ask you is, if you had a magic wand and could make the world a little better, what's one thing you would change in the world?
I thought a lot about this because, to have that power. But I had to sneak in a second one because I think, for me, obviously, when you look at global suffering, you got to say there's got to be an end of violence. There's got to be an end of violence. But I think, you've got to couple with that increased equity because, so much of the lack of equity is what generates the violence to begin with. So, because we are so blessed in Canada, in Richmond Hill in Canada. When you think of the magnitude of suffering that goes on internationally, and so many of them being kids who are simply victims of displacement and war, and so yeah, those would be my two things if I had a magic wand.
If you had your magic wand, okay. Well, thank you for that. As I said, I just started asking that question, and I'm wondering what sort of responses I get. Definitely,
Well, I
like
felt a
what you.
little bit like the Miss Universe contest where everybody says, "Oh, world peace."
Okay. Well, thank you. So thank you, Laurel, for taking the time to do this podcast. It's been a delight, and I hope to see you up at the Artist Co-op.
Yes, do come. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Marj.
It is. Thank you. Thank you for listening. I would appreciate you sharing this podcast. Consider emailing me at Marj, M-A-R-J, at marjandre.com. I would welcome suggestions for podcast guests. Let's stay connected.